Super Bowl Sunday. Just want to say that. In this video, we're going to show you how to make a buffalo chicken Detroit style pizza. So let's get started. We're going to start with our dough, our Detroit style dough. Grab yourself a mixing bowl and grab yourself 440 mils of water. And into there, we're going to go in with 4 grams of fresh yeast. So you can use dried yeast for this recipe. It's just kind of a third of the amount normally. So our yeast and our water are in the bowl, and now we can add our flours. So we've got 2 different types of flour here. I've got 310 grams of double O and 310 grams of bread flour. Our traditional Detroit recipe, which is much quicker, you can find that on the channel. That's kind of ready in 6 to 8 hours and gives a much tighter crumb. During the mixing, you're going to want to stop the mixer now and again and just scrape down the edges with your trusty scraper. And we can also add our salt now. So I've got 15 grams of salt there, about 2.5 teaspoons. So once all the ingredients are in the bowl, we're going to mix this for about 2 or 3 minutes, just scraping down the bowl now and again, making sure everything is incorporated. That dough has been mixing for around 3 minutes, and we're going to leave it to rest now for 10 minutes and then just bring it back together for a final minute. That rest period is really important, so don't skip it. Our dough has been resting for 10 minutes, so now we're just going to bring it back together, just a quick spin. There's seagulls on the roof. You might have seen this in a previous video, this happens a lot. But they're scary, they're terrifying. They've got knives, phones, Instagram accounts. Get yourself a tub, nice tall tub. This is a 7 litre tub, something like that sort of size would be great. I'm going to coat the bowl with a little bit of olive oil and just rub that round with your hand. So a lot of people will put olive oil in the dough and they make a Detroit dough, but because we're doing a long ferment with this oil is going to kind of seep into the dough during the fermentation and give us that same sort of workability that you get from oil-based doughs. This dough is quite a high hydration dough, so use your scraper, don't use your hand, and just let it drop into your bowl. And then just with your hand, you can just get underneath now. The oil will make it much easier to work with. So now we can just shape it. Cover this with a lid or some shrink wrap. So we're going to leave this dough at room temperature for 24 hours to ferment. We're going to prep our chicken for our buffalo chicken pizza. Now, buffalo chicken is normally wings. They're delicious. They're one of the greatest things you could ever put in your mouth. But wings on a pizza are problematic. There's a lot of bones in there. So we've gone with chicken legs. So that's the thigh and the drumstick boned out. That way we get a lovely bit of skin. We get really nice, still moist brown meat. It's a good compromise and then avoids boning out all the wings. So for our dry rub for these wings, we want to kind of pull in some of the traditional flavors that you associate with buffalo wings. So we've got 1 teaspoon of celery salt, and we've got 1 tablespoon of soft brown sugar, and then to that, so we've got a sugar, a celery salt, and we're going to add to that in here, I've got a pinch of cayenne pepper, a pinch of onion powder, and a pinch of garlic powder. You don't need much of all of those, but just a pinch of each. And then we can just give the chickens a really nice rub. So our chicken legs are covered in the dry rub. We're going to cover those with cling film, stick them in the fridge for 24 hours, and then that will be ready, and the dough will be ready, and then we can eat pizza. Buffalo wings would not be buffalo wings without blue cheese sauce. We're going to go with 1 cup of sour cream, and we're going to pop that into a blender, 1/2 cup of buttermilk, and then I've got 100 grams of blue cheese, so about 3.5 ounces. This is gorgonzola, but you could use any blue cheese you fancied here. I like gorgonzola because it blends up pretty well. And it's fun to say. Like Stilton. Boring. Gorgonzola. Huh? That is it. Those 3 things, buttermilk, sour cream, blue cheese. Stick them in a blender, whiz them up, that's it. So we've whizzed those 3 things together, we're going to transfer them to a squirty bottle, and that is it. We're ready to make pizza. After 24 hours, your dough will hopefully look something like this. Really bubbly, really fermenty. So we're going to put our dough into our Detroit-style pan. These Detroit-style pans are traditionally made of blue steel. Rumour has it they were used to put motor parts in, because Detroit is known as the Motor City. I don't know what angle is best for you to see those slanted edges. Can you see those slanted edges? I should stop moving it. You could do this in a standard pan. This is an 8x10 pan. So an 8x10 pan with straight edges would still do the same thing, but the slanted edges allow the fat that comes out of the cheese to drizzle down the sides and kind of fry the edges, giving us those crispy, beautiful edges. So if you can get one of these pans, get one. So just pop your dough onto your work surface. So for our 8x10 pan, we're going to want about 375 grams, about 13 ounces or so. The rest of this we can ball up and we can put it back in the fridge, we can save it for a later date, or we can make 2 at once, whatever. we've got some oil. We're just going to oil the kind of four corners. I like to use olive oil because olive oil has been with the dough when it's been fermenting and everything else. Just feels like the right thing to do. Grab yourself a bit of kitchen towel, paper towel, and just wipe round. And then we can just lift the dough into the tray. So we've got a little bit of oil on our hands now from wiping the tray, and that's going to make the dough much easier to work with. So you can now get underneath and just kind of let gravity stretch it down a bit. And you'll probably find your dough won't quite stretch all the way to the corners at this point. That's okay. We're going to leave this dough in the tray for about 2 to 3 hours. And during that time, we can pop back to it now and again and just give it a little poke towards those edges. So we've covered the dough with cling film or shrink wrap, and we're going to leave that for another 2 hours at room temperature, going back to it now and again just to stretch the dough to those corners. And then we'll be ready to cook pizza. Our dry rub has done what it needs to do to these chicken legs. So Roccbox is preheated, very, very hot. But then we've turned the flame down to low. So that's going to be kind of slowly coming down in temperature to about 350 degrees or 650 Fahrenheit. When it's about that temperature, we're going to stick our pan in and just let it preheat a little bit. That doesn't need to be smoking hot, just needs to be warm. So we're going to rub our chicken legs with just a little bit of oil on both sides. So our warm pan comes over, and these guys are going in skin side down. Okay, so we'll cook those guys for about 4 to 5 minutes. I think 4 minutes? I don't know. I don't know how long we're going to cook them. We'll find out now. Stay tuned. I'm going to go wash my hands because we've been handling raw chicken. So after around 4 minutes, we should hear that skin just starting to pop underneath, and that's a good indication we're ready to flip the chicken. Now we're going to go back into Roccbox for another minute or so, just to crisp up that skin. So our chicken has got that lovely crispy skin, looking beautiful, nice and moist in the middle. And we're just going to leave that to rest while we build the pizza, and then we'll carve it during the baking of the pizza. The time has finally arrived to bake our Detroit-style buffalo chicken pizza, and this is the best time, this is the good time. So this pizza, this dough, has been sat in our 8x10 Detroit tray for about 2 hours. And you can see it's stretched to the corners. We've given it a little push now and again just to encourage it. So Roccbox has been on high flame, so we know the floor, the deck of the oven is nice and hot, and that's going to give us our nice crispy base. And we're going to par bake this guy. We're going to par bake him for about 2 minutes, and that's going to give us kind of a more stable pizza to then top. So Roccbox is turned down to its lowest flame, and the temperature is around about 350 Celsius, 660 Fahrenheit. So it's very important we bake this pizza in the front third of Roccbox. If we go towards the back, that heat is just a bit too fierce and we're not going to get an even rise. So front third only, and rotate regularly. After par baking for 2 minutes, we can now add our cheese. So pizza comes out of the oven, and you'll see we've kind of developed a crust on top just where that started to par bake, and it's opened up these edges around the outside. So the cheese can now fall down the edges and give us that amazing Detroit crust that we're looking for. So we've got 70 grams of mozzarella, and we've got 70 grams of jack cheese as well. So traditionally this would be brick cheese, but that's quite hard to get a lot of places. And we've also got 40 grams of blue cheese. So although we've got our dip going on later, our blue cheese sauce, you can't have too much blue cheese. I think that's a good life rule. So spread those around, and you want to work reasonably quickly here because that pizza's dropping while we're here messing about with cheese. So we're going to get straight back into Roccbox, still using the front third of the oven. And we're going to do this for another 6 minutes in total. And during that time, we're going to rotate every minute, 2 minutes. You can set yourself a timer if you like, so you're nice and consistent, or you can do it by eye. We've got our lovely legs, nicely rested, still nicely crispy. And we're just going to give these a little carve, ready to go on the pizza. So it's very important we do this now while the pizza is cooking. We don't want to do this and just leave it to one side. The meat's going to dry out, and you want to make sure that it's properly rested before you go anywhere near it with a knife. So our cheesy Detroit pizza is looking pretty good. Let's be honest, it's looking pretty tasty, isn't it? And you could rip this up if you wanted, you know, and some people like the chicken to be in smaller pieces. I think it looks better and eats much better like this, just in these long strips running across. So once we're happy we've got enough chicken on here, we're going to go back into Roccbox, but we're going to turn Roccbox off completely. So just pop this in the front third. So Roccbox is off, and we're going to leave the Detroit pizza in there for a final 2 minutes. Again, rotating halfway through. That final 2 minutes in that residual heat of Roccbox is just going to warm the chicken through, get everything nice and something. Lovely, crispy, beautifully cooked, and ready to eat. Okay, so we've rested this for a minute or so, and now it should just slide out. Base is good, crispy crown is good, chicken is good, it smells very, very good. So we've got our cheese sauce, and then we've got some hot sauce. obviously, buffalo wings. This is just hot sauce, so we haven't mixed this with butter or anything. There's a lot of fat, a lot of cheese, a lot of bad things in here. This doesn't need extra butter. The extra touch is a few celery leaves. So most people throw these away, but celery leaves are just packed full of flavour. Tastes more like celery than celery does. There you go, buffalo chicken on a Detroit-style pizza. Buffalo wings, delicious. Detroit pizza, delicious. The two together, unbelievable. Can I eat some? Can I eat some? I don't mind that. Look at the crown, look at the crispy crown. That is incredible. That is probably 10 out of 10. I don't like to say that because I feel like a bit of an idiot, blowing my own trumpet, but that's probably 10 out of 10. You should make it, you should try it. Detroit pizza, buffalo chicken, having a baby, putting it in your mouth, you eating it. Oh yeah, eat those babies. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of the video. You can now celebrate by making it yourself. You can find the full recipe at gozney.com and lots of other inspiration and fun and exciting things. I'm really scared of seagulls, like a genuine irrational phobia. Let us know in the comments below what your irrational phobias are. And let's just see. So normally Detroit pizza will be really tight, small crumb, but this long ferment that we've done here should give us a really nice, airy, it hasn't. So we'll cut that bit. Literally every other one I made has been really airy. I have nothing else to add. Super Bowl Sunday!